Revenge is often seen as a form of justice, a way to balance the scales when we have been wronged. It feels like a natural response when someone hurts us, betrays us, or causes us pain. In that moment, anger clouds our judgment, and the desire to make the other person suffer seems justified. We convince ourselves that by getting even, we will find closure, that the pain they caused us will lessen once they feel it too. But in reality, revenge is nothing more than a fleeting moment of satisfaction, followed by lasting consequences that often do more harm than good. When we act on revenge, we think we are regaining control. The pain someone else caused us makes us feel powerless, so we respond by trying to inflict pain in return. But in doing so, we don't regain power. We lose it even further. Instead of healing, we pour our energy into anger, reliving the hurt over and over again. The moment of revenge might bring a brief sense of triumph, but it is short-lived. The satisfaction fades quickly, and what is left behind is not peace, but a deeper wound. The hurt does not disappear. It only transforms into something heavier, something that lingers long after the act of revenge is over. Another harsh reality of revenge is that it rarely stops at just one act. It creates a cycle, a back and forth of harm and retaliation that can continue endlessly. One act of revenge leads to another, and soon the situation escalates beyond control. What started as a way to make things right turns into an ongoing battle where no one truly wins. The more we invest in revenge, the more it consumes us, changing the way we think, the way we feel, and even the way we see the world. It turns us into someone we never intended to be, someone ruled by anger rather than guided by wisdom. Revenge also affects more than just the people directly involved. It spreads like ripples in water, touching the lives of those around us. It can damage relationships, destroy trust, and create divisions that are difficult to mend. Friends and family may get caught in the middle, forced to take sides or suffer the consequences of a situation they had no part in creating. In trying to make one person suffer, we often end up hurting ourselves and those who care about us. The bitterness and resentment that revenge fuels don't just remain in one place. They seep into different aspects of our lives, affecting our peace of mind and emotional well-being. Beyond personal consequences, revenge can also affect our future. The actions we take in anger can have long-term effects that we may not anticipate in the heat of the moment. Bridges burned in the pursuit of revenge may never be rebuilt. Opportunities lost due to reckless decisions made in anger may never return. The things we say or do in a fit of rage may haunt us long after the moment has passed. A single act of revenge can alter the course of our lives in ways we never intended, closing doors that might have led to growth, healing, and new beginnings. When we hold on to revenge, we remain tied to the past. Every time we think about what was done to us, every time we relive the hurt and justify our anger, we are allowing the past to control our present. Instead of focusing on what lies ahead, we remain trapped in a cycle of pain that keeps us from moving forward. The more we cling to thoughts of revenge, the more we let someone else's actions define our story. Instead of being free, we remain prisoners of our own resentment. Letting go of revenge does not mean accepting injustice or pretending that pain doesn't exist. It simply means choosing a path that leads to healing rather than destruction. It means recognizing that true strength is not found in making others suffer, but in rising above the hurt. It means understanding that peace is not something that revenge can give us, but something we must create within ourselves. Peace is often misunderstood as passivity, as if choosing peace means allowing others to walk over us or ignoring the wrongs done to us. In reality, peace is one of the most powerful choices we can make, not just for the world around us, but for ourselves. When we choose peace over conflict, over resentment, and over revenge, We are not giving up. We are setting ourselves free. True freedom does not come from proving a point or settling a score. It comes from releasing the burdens that weigh us down, the anger that consumes our thoughts, and the pain that holds us back from fully living. Holding on to conflict keeps us trapped. When we dwell on the ways we have been wronged, when we replay conversations in our heads, thinking of what we should have said or done differently, we are reliving our pain over and over again. We allow the actions of others to take up space in our minds, controlling our emotions and influencing our choices. Instead of moving forward, we remain stuck in a past that cannot be changed, in moments that should have already passed, but still linger because we refuse to let go. Choosing peace is choosing to step out of that prison, to refuse to let negativity dictate our lives any longer. True freedom is found when we stop letting anger and resentment shape our days. When we are consumed by these emotions, they dictate how we interact with others, how we see the world, and how we respond to new experiences. A heart weighed down by bitterness cannot fully embrace happiness, no matter how much we try to distract ourselves. If we have not chosen peace, the unresolved pain will always resurface in one way or another. Peace is not just about avoiding conflict with others. It is about finding inner balance, about reaching a place where external circumstances no longer have the power to control our well-being. Letting go does not mean forgetting or pretending that something did not happen. It means refusing to let it hold power over us any longer. It means accepting that we cannot change the past, but that we do have control over how we move forward. When we carry grudges, we are the ones who suffer most. The people who have wronged us may not even think about what they did, but we keep the pain alive by holding on to it. Peace is the choice to release that burden, to stop allowing someone else's actions to dictate our happiness, to reclaim our own sense of self instead of being defined by what happened to us. Freedom through peace also extends beyond personal emotions. It allows us to build better relationships, to foster understanding instead of division, to create an environment where kindness and compassion are stronger than hostility. When we choose peace, we inspire others to do the same. We break cycles of conflict, showing that strength is not found in aggression, but in restraint. It takes far more courage to walk away from a fight than to engage in one, far more wisdom to seek resolution than to fuel further discord. The greatest leaders in history were not those who sought revenge, but those who sought unity. Their strength was in their ability to rise above, to recognize that true power lies in peace, not in control. Living in peace also means learning to trust in the future rather than remaining chained to the past. It is understanding that every moment spent in anger is a moment taken away from joy, from growth, from opportunities that could bring happiness. It is choosing to invest energy in things that build us rather than things that break us. It is about making space in our hearts for love, for gratitude, for new beginnings, rather than filling it with memories of pain. It is the realization that peace is not something given to us by others. It is something we create within ourselves. Forgiveness is often mistaken for weakness, as if choosing to let go of anger and resentment means surrendering to those who have wronged us. But true strength is not found in retaliation. It is found in the ability to rise above the pain, to choose healing over hatred, and to move forward instead of being trapped in a cycle of bitterness. Retaliation may seem like the natural response to being hurt, but it does not undo the harm that was done. It only prolongs the suffering, keeping wounds open rather than allowing them to heal. Forgiveness, on the other hand, is a conscious decision to free ourselves from the burden of resentment, to reclaim our peace, and to refuse to let someone else's actions define our future. When we hold on to anger, we carry a weight that does not serve us. The person who hurt us may not even think about what they did, yet we relive the pain over and over again, allowing it to consume our thoughts and emotions. The longer we cling to that anger, the more power we give to the past. Retaliation might provide temporary satisfaction, but it does not erase what happened. It does not change the fact that we were hurt, nor does it bring lasting peace. It only deepens the cycle of negativity, keeping us tied to a moment that should no longer have control over our lives. Forgiveness, however, is an act of strength because it requires us to look beyond our pain and choose a path that leads to healing rather than destruction. There is nothing easy about forgiveness. It requires deep self-awareness, emotional resilience, and a willingness to let go of the desire for revenge. It is far easier to give in to anger than it is to rise above it. But those who choose to forgive are not weak. They are strong enough to recognize that their peace is more valuable than their pride. They understand that by forgiving, they are not excusing what happened or pretending that it did not matter, but rather refusing to let it control them any longer. They choose to heal for their own sake, not for the sake of those who hurt them. Forgiveness does not mean we have to continue relationships with those who have harmed us. It does not mean we have to forget or ignore what happened. It simply means we are no longer allowing that pain to dictate our lives. It means we refuse to be prisoners of our own anger. When we retaliate, we lower ourselves to the same level as those who hurt us. We let their actions determine our responses, keeping us trapped in a cycle of negativity. But when we forgive, we take back control. We decide how we move forward, unburdened by the past and focused on a future where peace is stronger than pain. Many of the world's greatest leaders and role models have chosen forgiveness over retaliation. Nelson Mandela, after spending 27 years in prison, did not seek revenge on those who oppressed him. Instead, he chose reconciliation, understanding that true strength lies in unity, not division. Martin Luther King Jr. fought against hatred and injustice, not with violence, but with the power of peace and forgiveness. Their legacies show that real power is not in fighting back, but in refusing to let hatred win. When we choose forgiveness, we choose growth. We choose to focus on what we can control, our own happiness, our own healing, our own ability to create a better future. Retaliation keeps us stuck in the past, but forgiveness allows us to move forward. It is not about the other person, it is about our own freedom. It is about recognizing that we are not defined by what happened to us, but by how we choose to respond. It is about understanding that strength is not found in seeking revenge, but in having the courage to let go. Throughout history, the most influential leaders have not been those who sought revenge or used violence to assert power, but those who chose peace in the face of conflict. Their strength did not come from their ability to retaliate, but from their ability to rise above hatred, injustice, and oppression. They understood that true change does not come from meeting violence with more violence, but from breaking the cycle of hostility and inspiring others to do the same. The path of peace is not easy, nor is it the path that brings immediate results. But history has shown that it is the path that brings lasting change. Mahatma Gandhi led one of the most powerful nonviolent movements in history. Under British colonial rule, India faced extreme oppression, and many believed that armed resistance was the only way to achieve freedom. But Gandhi proved otherwise. Through peaceful protests, civil disobedience, and unwavering commitment to nonviolence, he led a movement that ultimately resulted in India's independence. He faced imprisonment, threats, and violence, yet he never wavered in his belief that peace was the strongest force for change. Had he chosen revenge over peace, the movement could have descended into chaos, leading to further bloodshed and suffering. Instead, his approach inspired millions and set an example for future generations that peace is not weakness, but a force more powerful than any weapon. Martin Luther King Jr. followed a similar path during the Civil Rights Movement in the United States. Faced with racism, segregation, and violence, he had every reason to retaliate, but he chose a different route. Inspired by Gandhi's philosophy, he led peaceful protests, marches, and speeches that challenged the deep-rooted injustices in society. His belief in nonviolence was tested time and time again as he faced threats, imprisonment, and eventually assassination, yet he never abandoned his commitment to peace. His leadership changed the course of history, proving that love, unity, and nonviolent resistance have the power to dismantle systems of oppression. Had he chosen revenge, the movement could have lost its moral ground, but by choosing peace, he created a legacy that continues to inspire movements for justice worldwide. Nelson Mandela's journey also serves as a testament to the power of choosing peace over revenge. After spending 27 years in prison for opposing South Africa's apartheid system, he had every reason to seek retribution against those who oppressed him and his people. Instead, he chose reconciliation. When he was finally released, he did not call for violence against the government that had wrongfully imprisoned him. Instead, he led negotiations that resulted in a peaceful transition to democracy, avoiding what could have been a devastating civil war. His leadership proved that peace is not just about avoiding conflict, but about actively working toward unity and healing. Rather than using his newfound power for vengeance, he used it to build bridges between former enemies, proving that a nation can only move forward when it lets go of the hatred of the past. These leaders understood that choosing peace was not the easy path, but it was the path that would create a better world. Their struggles, sacrifices, and unwavering commitment to nonviolence shaped history, showing that strength lies not in striking back, but in rising above. Peace does not mean ignoring injustice or allowing wrongdoing to continue. It means confronting challenges with wisdom, patience, and a vision for a future free from cycles of hate. Their stories remind us that peace is not just an ideal, but a powerful tool for transformation, and those who choose it leave behind legacies that outlive them. Their examples show that choosing peace is not about surrendering, but about understanding the bigger picture. It is about realizing that revenge only leads to more pain, while peace builds foundations for a better tomorrow. It is about knowing that true leadership is not about domination, but about guiding people toward unity, understanding, and progress. It is about proving that no matter how difficult the road may be, peace will always be stronger than war, and love will always be stronger than hate. Negativity is a cycle that traps people in a loop of anger, resentment, and pain. It begins with a single act of hurt, but instead of fading away, it grows stronger as it is met with retaliation and more negativity. The more people respond with the same energy they receive, the deeper they become entangled in a pattern that seems impossible to escape. Breaking free from this cycle requires a conscious decision to stop fueling it, to choose peace instead of revenge, and to rise above the emotions that keep people tied to past wounds. It is not an easy choice, but it is the only path that leads to true freedom. Negativity often feeds on itself. When someone experiences pain, they may feel justified in causing pain to others. A hurtful comment leads to another in return. An act of betrayal sparks the desire to betray back. And a moment of anger escalates into something far greater than it ever needed to be. In the heat of the moment, reacting seems like the natural response, but it only strengthens the cycle. The more energy is given to negativity, the more power it holds. It spreads from person to person, from situation to situation, leaving behind bitterness and regret. The longer it continues, the harder it becomes to recognize the toll it takes. It clouds judgment, strains relationships, and creates an atmosphere where hostility becomes the norm instead of an exception. Breaking the cycle means making a different choice, one that requires strength and self-awareness. It means resisting the urge to respond to anger with more anger, to answer cruelty with cruelty, and to let past wounds dictate present actions. It requires the ability to pause, to reflect, and to ask whether reacting in the same way will lead to healing or simply prolong the pain. It is easy to be consumed by emotions in the moment, but true power lies in stepping back and choosing not to be controlled by negativity. It means understanding that while people cannot always control what happens to them, they can control how they respond. That choice is what determines whether the cycle continues or ends. Negativity thrives on conflict, but peace has the ability to break even the deepest patterns of hostility. It does not mean ignoring wrongdoing or allowing injustice to persist, but rather approaching challenges with a mindset that seeks resolution instead of destruction. When met with aggression, responding with calmness weakens its impact. When faced with criticism, choosing understanding over defensiveness diffuses tension. Each time someone decides not to engage in negativity, they weaken its hold. Over time, this shift in response creates space for healing, for conversations that lead to progress instead of further division. It encourages others to do the same, showing that there is another way to handle conflict, one that does not leave behind more pain. Breaking the cycle also means letting go of grudges. Holding on to past wrongs does not punish those who caused them. It only keeps the person carrying them weighed down. Resentment may feel justified, but it does not lead to peace. Choosing to release anger does not mean what happened was acceptable, but it means refusing to let it have control any longer. It is a decision to prioritize inner peace over prolonged suffering. When people choose to let go, they open the door for growth, for happiness, and for relationships that are not defined by past conflicts. It is not always immediate, but every step taken toward peace weakens the grip of negativity. Cycles continue only when they are given the energy to do so. By choosing to stop fueling negativity, by refusing to let it dictate actions, and by embracing a mindset focused on resolution rather than retaliation, people regain control of their lives. They create an environment where peace becomes stronger than conflict, where understanding takes the place of resentment, and where healing replaces pain. It is a process that requires patience and effort, but the result is a life that is no longer dictated by negativity, a life where peace is no longer something distant, but something real and within reach. Choosing peace is not just about how people interact with the world around them. It is a decision that shapes their own well-being, their mental and emotional health, and the quality of their lives. It is easy to believe that seeking revenge or holding on to anger is a way to take control, but in reality, it is the opposite. Carrying resentment, engaging in conflict, and allowing negativity to dictate actions only drain energy and keep people tied to pain. Choosing peace is not about giving up or letting others win. It is about valuing oneself enough to walk away from what no longer serves growth and happiness. It is about making the conscious decision to prioritize inner balance over external battles, to focus on what truly matters rather than being consumed by temporary emotions. When people choose peace, they choose freedom from the weight of anger and resentment. They refuse to allow past hurts to define their present or dictate their future. Holding on to grudges may feel justified, but it creates a prison of the mind, keeping people locked in a cycle of reliving their pain. Every time they replay a moment of betrayal or injustice, they allow it to take up space in their thoughts, controlling their emotions and shaping their outlook on life. Choosing peace means recognizing that some things are not worth that kind of power. It means deciding that personal happiness and well-being are more important than proving a point or seeking retribution. It means releasing what cannot be changed and focusing on what can be built instead. Choosing peace also means creating space for joy, for growth, and for deeper connections with others. When people are consumed by anger, it affects not just the person they are upset with, but also their relationships, their energy, and their ability to be present in their own lives. They carry that negativity into their conversations, their decisions, and their interactions with those who have done nothing wrong. And it clouds their judgment, making it difficult to appreciate the good things around them. But when they choose peace, they make room for happiness. They allow themselves to experience life without being weighed down by bitterness. They open themselves to new opportunities, to relationships built on trust rather than past wounds, to experiences that bring fulfillment instead of frustration. Peace is not just about external conflicts. It is about the relationship people have with themselves. It is about choosing thoughts that bring clarity instead of confusion, emotions that uplift instead of drain, and actions that align with their values rather than their impulses. It takes strength to walk away from situations that disrupt inner balance. It takes courage to let go of the need to be right, to accept that some things will never be fair, and to focus instead on personal peace. It requires discipline to resist the urge to react in anger, to remain calm in the face of provocation, and to prioritize long-term well-being over momentary satisfaction. When people choose peace, they are not just making a decision for a single moment. They are shaping the way they experience life. They are choosing to live with less stress, to cultivate resilience, and to focus on what truly matters. They are giving themselves permission to move forward rather than staying stuck in past pain. They are deciding that their energy is too valuable to be wasted on conflicts that lead nowhere. They are acknowledging that they deserve a life that is not dictated by negativity, but guided by purpose, clarity, and contentment. Choosing peace is an act of self-respect. It is a commitment to one's own well-being, a refusal to be controlled by external forces, and an affirmation that happiness is not found in revenge, but in letting go. It is the realization that peace is not a weakness, but the ultimate strength. That walking away from conflict does not mean losing, but reclaiming power. It is a decision that leads to a life where freedom is not just about circumstances, but about the ability to remain calm, focused, and fulfilled no matter what challenges arise.